I almost didn't answer the call that changed everything. It was too early and the number was blocked, and I was tired in that deep bone way that makes the world feel heavy, like you're carrying a house on your back. I let it ring, grabbed a sip of cold coffee, and told myself to let it go to voicemail. But something in me wouldn't. I put the mug down and swiped. A gentle voice said my name like he already knew me. Then he asked a strange question. He asked about an airman walking at dawn. And before I could hang up, he said he thought my brother was a hero. My name is Grace, my brother is Evan. He's 24, quiet, stubborn, and strong in that slow, steady kind of way you don't notice until you need it. He's an airman. He never talks big about it. He just gets up when it's still dark and the world is cold and he does his duty. He says it's not a big deal. He says it like he's trying to shrug off the fact that he walks each dawn to the base because our car is dead and there's no bus at that hour, and I can't drive him because I'm always on the night shift and we live out past the last streetlight. If you're wondering why we didn't just fix the car, I can tell you a whole list of reasons. I can tell you about our mother's heart meds, and that week the rent went up by 50 and it felt like someone had stolen a day of my life each month. I can tell you about the leak in the ceiling and how it rained inside and how I started saving in a glass jar, one crumpled bill at a time, only to break it for a dentist bill when my tooth exploded one night. It's a long, boring kind of story, the kind that doesn't sound like a story, just a slow drip. You keep wiping the counter and the water keeps coming. Evan never complained. He said the walk cleared his head. He said he liked the quiet. But I knew what it cost him. I knew about the blisters he pretended not to have. I knew because I found folded paper towels in his shoes to soften the rub. I knew because some mornings he came home and fell asleep sitting up, because if he lay down he was afraid he wouldn't get up in time for the next shift. I didn't tell anyone. I didn't ask for help. Pride is a tricky thing. It feels like a shield, but it's also a wall. And behind that wall, I watched the person I love most carry more than he should have to carry. I did one small thing. I posted a message in a group for military families online. It wasn't even a plea. It was just a question. I asked if anyone knew about ride shares at dawn. I wrote, "My brother walks to work before sunrise. I wish I could help him. Does the base have a program?" I turned off notifications because I was scared someone would answer and then I would have to say the truth. Days passed. I forgot about it. I told myself we would figure it out like we always did. Then came the call. "Is this Grace?" the voice asked. "Yes," I said, slow. He paused like he didn't want to scare me. "I saw a note you wrote," he said, "about an airman walking." My hand tightened on the phone. "Who is this?" "A stranger," he said with a smile in his voice. "A friend, if you'll let me be. May I ask his name?" My heart kicked. People online can be strange. People in real life can be worse. "Why?" I said. "What do you want?" "I want to help," he said. He sounded like he meant it, which made me feel more uneasy, not less. "I'm in your town this week. And I keep seeing a young man on the road at dawn. It has haunted me for days." He took a breath. "I have a thought, but first I need to know if he would want help." "Most people don't," I said. I didn't mean to say it out loud. It just slipped out, soft and tired. "I understand," he said. Then he said something that changed the way my fear sat in my chest. "I will respect whatever he wants." But I had to ask, because some things stick in your mind and won't let go. This is one of them. "What's your name?" I asked again. My guard was still up. "John," he said, then after a second he added, "But most people use another name for me." He was quiet. "Please don't hang up. I want to tell you a story and then you can decide to block me." I sat down. "Okay," I said, wary. "A long time ago," he said, "someone picked me up when I was stone broke and lost. He drove me across town and didn't ask for anything and told me to keep going. I never forgot. I promised myself that if I ever had the chance, I'd be the person who stops. That's why your message tugged at me." There was nothing slick about his words. They weren't fancy. He could have been anyone. He paused, and I didn't plan to say this, but it's fair to tell you, my name is Johnny Depp. He let it hang there, like a loose string. I laughed. It burst out of me without permission. "Sure," I said, "and I'm the Queen of England." "I get that a lot," he said. He sounded amused and a little weary. I know how this sounds. You can pretend I'm a different John if it helps. You don't need to trust who I am. Just judge what I do. Let me show you. No press, no noise, just one person trying to help another. I didn't know what to say. The call felt like a test I didn't study for. A part of me wanted to hang up and tell no one. Another part felt a tiny lift, like a window cracked on a hot day. What did you have in mind? I asked, cautious. I don't want to buy a thing for him, he said. Not a car, not a single ride. He's serving, he deserves more than a quick fix. I want to build something that lasts. But only if he says yes. And only if it keeps his dignity. I thought about Evan's jaw when he felt small. I thought about the way he refused $20 bills for gas when friends waved them at him. He'll fight it, I said. I know, Johnny said. So I need your help. I told him I'd think about it. He thanked me and then asked a simple, gentle question. May I meet him as a stranger? The next morning when Evan came home after his shift and blinked at the brightness in our kitchen, I tried to bring it up. Hey, I said, I read about a dawn ride program. It's for airmen. It could save you a walk sometimes. He shook his head. I'm fine. I worry, I said. I know, he said, soft. But it's my job. That night the phone buzzed again. I don't want to push. Johnny said. Maybe there's another way. Does he get coffee anywhere? Sometimes, I said. At the only place that's open before dawn. Then I'll go tomorrow, he said. I'll just be a man in line. If he says no, I'll step away. I lay awake in the dark, thinking about what I'd done. Was I foolish? Was I making Evan's pride a stage for a stranger to applaud? But then I thought about that early voice on the phone, the one who didn't sound like a show. I prayed with my eyes open and my breath shaky. Let me not break anything that is holding together by a thread. The next day when Evan left, I pretended to sleep. I stared at the ceiling and waited. An hour later my phone buzzed. A text, unknown number. Just a few words. Met him. He is kind. He said no. I respect it, but I have another thought. I exhaled like a balloon losing air. Relief and regret tangled. What thought? I wrote back. Let's not focus on him. Johnny wrote. Let's focus on Dawn. He called and explained it like he was laying out a small, steady plan. So many people need a way early in the morning. He said. Not just your brother. I can start a quiet dawn shuttle. A test. No one singled out. It will pick up at a corner by the laundromat and end by the base gate. Anyone can ride. No names. Just a handshake. If he wants to use it, he can. If he doesn't, someone else will. You would do that? I whispered. I can, he said. Money is only good if it moves. The next week was a blur. He told me not to thank him. He told me not to tell anyone who he was. He sent a simple note from an assistant with a first name, asking for a permit. He connected with a local church that already had a van. He paid the insurance. He paid the driver. He bought coffee and kept it in thermoses in the back. No strings, he said. No speeches. The first morning it rained hard. The kind of rain that makes the air feel like a bucket dumped over your head. I sat by the window and held my breath. Evan pulled on his jacket and stepped out. I didn't know if he would go to the corner or keep walking. I whispered his name to the air. Like it could carry. Then my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number with a single line. He got on. My whole body warmed like someone turned on a light inside. I cried into my sleeve. Small and quiet. Not because a van showed up, but because someone kept a promise. But nothing good ever comes smooth. The third morning the van didn't start. The driver called in a panic. It's the battery, he said. His voice shook. He thought he ruined everything. He thought he failed an invisible test. Do I call and cancel? I called Johnny. He picked up on the first ring. I could hear noise in the background, voices, movement. It's okay, he said. Calm, tell them to stay at the corner. I planned for this. You planned for the van to die. I said, stunned. I planned for something to go wrong. He said. It always does. That's how you know it's real life. 10 minutes later, a truck pulled up with a trailer full of bikes. No stickers. No fanfare. A man in a work jacket wheeled them down. He looked like someone's uncle. He handed out helmets and said simple instructions and didn't make eye contact in the way that keeps people from feeling looked at. The people at the corner stared at the bikes like they were a strange dream. One by one they took them. Some laughed. Some cried. Evan texted me a single word. Bike. That day he got to the base early. He came home lighter. It was fast. He said. Felt like flying. He ran a hand through his hair and tried to look casual. Then he added, too soft for anyone but me to catch. It was the first day my feet didn't hurt. But the story doesn't end with a bike or a van. Those are just tools. The twist came a week later when I learned something about Evan that I should have known, if not with my eyes, then with my heart. I was folding clothes when the phone rang again. It was Johnny. He sounded different. Full, like there was something heavy and warm in his hands and he didn't know how to carry it. I followed the path your brother used to walk. He said. I wanted to understand what he saw. There's a man on that route. Older, he sits by the bus sign, even when no bus comes at that hour. He's a veteran. People pass him. Most don't look. Your brother stops. He took a breath. He gives him his breakfast. I blinked hard. What? He gives him the food from his pocket. Johnny said. Not every day. Not every time. But often he usually says nothing. He just palms it and keeps going. Today the man said thank you. Your brother said, no thank you. I had to sit down. Evan never told me. He wouldn't. He would say it made him feel weird to mention it. He would say it turned a simple thing into a show. Now it changed the shape of the whole story for me. It wasn't just that he walked. It was how he walked. With his eyes open. Thank you for telling me. I said. Don't thank me. Johnny said. Thank him. He is the reason this whole thing works. I will make sure that man is okay too. We'll add a stop. Coffee, a warm roll. A listener. The dawn shuttle kept running. The bikes stayed lined up in the driver's yard. Ready when needed. People started to gather at the corner before it was even dark. They stood with their shoulders a little looser, because now they had a way, and sometimes that is enough to take a weight off a person's face. No one knew who started it. Rumors spread. Like they always do. A church. A company. A rich person who owed a favor. Some said the base finally got its act together. People guessed. But they didn't need to know. The important part was simple. No one walked alone anymore. Then one morning everything shook. A storm rolled in fast. The air felt raw. The driver called to say he couldn't get through a flooded road. The bikes were out. Evan texted me a picture of the corner. I could almost feel the water through the screen. People stood with rain on their necks and fear in their mouths. I'll walk. He wrote. It'll be okay. It wasn't. He called me after 10 minutes. Breath sharp. They closed the back road. He said. A tree's down. My stomach flipped. Come home. I said. No job is worth getting swept into a ditch. I can't. He said. It's a briefing day. If I miss it again, I could be written up. I already have a mark. I can't lose this grace. I tried not to cry in his ear. I'll figure something out. I called Johnny. I hated that he was the first person I thought of. I didn't want to depend on him. But that's the truth. When someone keeps showing up, you think of them when you're scared. He picked up. He didn't say hello. He just said, where? I told him. He didn't say I told you so. He didn't say anything at all for a beat. Then I'm coming. You can't. I said. It's flooded. My driver knows a way. He said. Don't argue. Meet me at the old gas station in 10. I told Evan to run to the station. When he got there he was soaked to the skin, and so was I. A black car pulled up quiet as a thought. The window slid down. There he was. Johnny plain as a neighbor. No glasses, no hat. Nothing to hide. He smiled like this was a picnic. Get in, he said. Evan froze. No way, he said. I could see his pride flare up. He looked at me like I had betrayed him. He's a friend, I said. Please. Johnny leaned across the seat and stuck out his hand. I've been wanting to meet you, he said. Like it was the most ordinary thing to say to a stranger at dawn. You don't have to like me. But let me take you to work. Evan looked from me to him. And back. Then he slid in. He sat stiffly. Like he thought the leather might bite. Johnny talked about nothing on the way. The road. The trees, the way storms have a taste. He didn't ask Evan any questions. He didn't make him feel small. He just drove through a back way I didn't know about and pulled up as close to the base gate as the guards would allow. Evan got out and turned back and said, "Thank you." Like it hurt his teeth. Johnny nodded. "Thank you for what you do," he said. He drove me home. We didn't say much. I was shaking with relief. He looked at my hands on my knees and said, "Low and kind. You can exhale now." I laughed in a ragged way. He glanced at me and said, "We'll make sure this doesn't happen again." "How?" I said. "You can't fight storms." "No," he said. "But you can build a bridge." I thought he meant it as a metaphor. He didn't next week. He had a portable footbridge installed over a ditch where the flood hit the worst. It wasn't anything grand. It just made a path where there wasn't one. I asked the city. He said. They said it would take 6 months. I asked a man with a truck. It took him 2 hours. He laughed softly. Sometimes the system needs a nudge. I kept waiting for the price. There wasn't one. He didn't want a picture. He didn't want a story written. He wanted to know if the driver liked his new chair cushion, and if the thermoses were enough, and if the old veteran had a warm coat now. "He has a name," he said to me one afternoon. "It's Walter. He loves crossword puzzles. He likes them in pen." He said it like he was passing on a secret he found in the pocket of a jacket. If you're wondering what Evan made of all this, I'll tell you. He worked. He came home and did his laundry. He fell asleep in his uniform on the couch. Sometimes, he made rice and eggs and ate standing up. He used the shuttle when the road was slick. He rode the bike when the sky was clean. He stopped for Walter with a cup of coffee and called him sir. He never let his thanks turn into debt. He kept his spine straight and his heart open. And then one day, I learned the biggest secret of all. It was the kind of small truth that explains a big thing. I had driven the route in the afternoon to drop off cookies at the church that lent us the van. Walter was sitting on the curb, looking at the sky. I sat beside him for a minute. "How are you?" I asked. "I'm alive," he said. He smiled. His eyes were both bright and tired. "Your brother told me something." He winked. He said the reason he walked was not only the car. He liked to check on me. He said he needed the quiet before the noise. He said that walk was his prayer. The breath left me. Pride flooded me. All the pieces fell into place like a click. I thanked Walter and I went home, and I cried at the kitchen table, messy and grateful. When Evan came in, I wiped my face and pretended to be tough. He looked at me and didn't buy it. He picked up a towel and dried a cup and said, "You okay? You're a good man," I said. He shrugged like I had told him the sky was blue. The shuttle grew. A mechanic on base heard about what we were doing without hearing who was doing it. He offered Saturdays for oil changes for anyone who needed it. Johnny covered the parts. A local bike shop fixed flats for free. A teacher set up a table at the corner with a box for notes. If someone needed something, they wrote it on a scrap of paper and dropped it in. No names. Just needs. Half the papers were small. Socks. A ride to the dentist. A phone charger. All of them were heavy if you had to carry them alone. I never saw a post about it online. It wasn't that kind of help. It moved quiet. It moved fast. It moved like dawn. People will ask me later when I tell this story if Johnny stayed. He didn't. Not in the way you might think. He was in town for a job. The job ended. He left. But before he did, he left a letter on my table. I still don't know how it got there. It wasn't fancy. It was on plain paper folded twice. It said, "Grace, you don't owe me anything. You've already paid me back. Watching you love your brother like this is the best kind of movie. Keep going. Keep looking for the person standing at the corner. He's always there. With love, Jay." There was a small PS. "Please don't say my name. Let Dawn get the credit." I laughed and cried and said the words out loud, like a promise. Let Dawn get the credit. Months passed. The shuttle turned from a pilot to a plan. The city finally got involved, the slow, respectable way, with papers and budgets. They took over the van. The driver got a badge and a raise. The church kept the thermoses. The bikes found a home in a shed behind the pantry. The footbridge got a plaque that didn't mention anyone's name, just a sentence. For those who walk early. Evan and Walter kept meeting like clockwork. Sometimes they talked and sometimes they just sat. One afternoon, Walter didn't show. The bus driver said he'd seen him wobble and sit down hard. Evan went looking and found him in the clinic. Scared and small. We stayed with him through the night. Johnny called that evening from a place with a different time. "How is he?" he asked. I told him. He wired money for a nurse, who knew how to make old bone pain less loud. "Tell him a friend cares," he said. No names. Walter made it through. The next week, he held my hand and told me a story about a dog he had when he was a boy. The week after that, he told me he wanted to volunteer on the shuttle. He wore a hat with a little pin on it and stood at the corner and poured coffee. He had a way of making people feel like they were exactly on time, even when they were late. As for Evan, he got a letter one day with a seal on it. He opened it in the kitchen and went quiet. "What is it?" I asked. "Promotion," he said. He didn't smile. He put the letter down on the table like it was a delicate thing that might fly away. Then he smiled. It was small and real, the kind of smile that isn't for a camera. He went to tell Walter first. I wish I could tell you that everything after that was easy. It wasn't. Life doesn't turn into a line. It stays a tangle. The ceiling still leaked. My jars still filled and emptied. The van still broke down sometimes. People still left and moved and got sick and got lonely. But something had shifted. We weren't carrying it alone. We had built a bridge, and not just the kind you walk over. The day I realized how much it had changed me came when a woman I didn't know knocked on my door. She said, "Are you Grace?" I said yes. She said, "My boy just joined the Air Force. He's scared, I don't know what to tell him." I made tea and sat with her. I told her what I'd tell anyone now. "Find your corner," I said. "Stand there. Bring coffee. Watch the sky change. That's where the help sits. Not with a hero. With a bunch of ordinary people who show up before the sun. The heroes are the ones who walk out the door anyway. People talk about famous folks like they're easy to understand. They turn them into a picture on a wall. I don't know the man named Johnny Depp who made 1,000 headlines. I know the one who picked up his phone at dawn. I know the one who didn't ask for a picture and didn't ask for praise. I know the one who planned for the van to break and still showed up when a storm came. His solution didn't just fix a problem. It altered a life. It altered mine. I saw him once more, by accident. Months later on a screen in a bar, when I was grabbing dinner after a long shift. Everyone was talking. The TV was on. His face was there, big and bright. People were arguing about a thing he did or didn't do. They had opinions. They had loud voices. The bartender said, "You think he's a good guy?" I looked at the picture. I thought about a dawn corner and a truck full of bikes, and a man with a careful voice, who didn't say, "Look at me." I thought about my brother's feet and the way he slept without pain now. I thought about Walter's coffee and the way he held his cup with both hands like it was a prayer. I think he's the kind of man who doesn't need me to answer that question. I said. I think he's someone who listened. The bartender shrugged. The TV changed to a game. I ate my fries. Outside, the sky shifted from pink to blue. Somewhere, a van engine turned over. Somewhere, a bike chain clicked. Somewhere, a person stood on a corner and wrapped their hands around a cup and felt seen. If you're still listening, if our story reached you at some hour when you needed a little light, take this with you. There is someone on your route who needs you to look up. There is someone whose feet hurt. There is someone whose pride is a wall and a shield, and both are protecting a heart that is trying its best. Maybe you're the one on the corner. Maybe you're the one with the van. Maybe you're the person with the wallet, or the person with the time, or the person who can build a bridge over a ditch because the city can't get to it yet. Whoever you are, you can alter a life. You can do it quiet. You can do it without your name on a plaque. And if you ever wonder if it matters, remember this: the smallest thing, done at dawn, can ripple all day. You might never see where it lands. That's okay. Dawn doesn't ask for applause. It just arrives. Thank you for being here with me. If this story touched you, please like, comment, subscribe and share the video so more people can hear it and maybe carry it forward.